All right, this is Good Morning Nigeria today, and we are glad to have you staying with us. To kickstart our conversation on alternative dispute resolution, there's a background report by Dennis Temple.
Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation and one of the largest economies, is currently in a stalemate, again between its population and the leadership. The NSAS movement of 2020 cannot be forgotten in a hurry. It significantly remains one of the most prominent protests in Nigeria, but much as the protests garnered attention and mobilized a substantial portion of the population, it could not translate into the desired changes. The NSAS movement had called for the disbandment of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad due to its notorious brutality. Thousands of young Nigerians took to the streets demanding justice. The Ash NSAS protest was not the first. The first subsidy protest of 2012, also known as Occupy Nigeria, mobilized millions against the government's removal of fuel subsidies. Despite the massive turnout and public support, the movement could not also change circumstances as it were. Again, the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, initiated in response to the abduction of schoolgirls by Boko Haram in 2014, drew international attention and widespread support. While it succeeded in drawing global attention to the plight of the kidnapped girls and pressurizing the government to take action, it did not also lead to significant policy change. Now, the agitation is in another dimension with a call against economic hardship. But more than ever before, observers are highlighting the urgent need to address underlying circumstances driving the protests and work towards sustainable peace and development. What should be done to address this situation? Considering that a series of meetings and consultations have been going on by prominent Nigerians, calling on the aggrieved individuals to shave the protests, guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be discussing enhancing alternative conflict resolutions as a way of addressing the imminent crisis and provide solutions for sustainable peace.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, for that introduction there. And we will already have in the studio our guests that are here to discuss on our topic for today. And in the studio we have Dr. Jonathan Isaac Onoja. He's the security expert and public affairs analyst. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, Dr. Onoja.
Good morning. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Good morning, Nigerians.
We also have Dr. Saleh Momale, Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State Peace Commission. Dr. Momale, you're welcome.
Good morning and good morning, Nigerians.
All right, and we do have joining us via Zoom from Uyo, Professor Joseph Ochogu, DG Institute of Peace and Conflict Resolution. It's our pleasure to have you join us.
Good morning, Nigerians. Glad to be here via Zoom from Uyo, Akwa Ibom State.
Thank you.
Okay, Professor, I think we should just start with you there. Let's look at what alternative dispute resolution is. What does it entail? And which mechanism is most appropriate in situations like this, like the one we have on ground?
Well, I think alternative dispute resolution oftentimes is when you decide not to use the conventional legal system, in addressing grievances, and then you decide to use alternatives. And some of those alternatives can be issues around mediation, among conflicting parties and all that. But I think that what we have now really is not the use of this term alternative dispute resolution in real sense of it. Here we are talking about issues around state-citizens relations. Some segment of the populations, are a bit disenchanted and want to protest over certain issues, either conditions of living and all that. So we'll be talking more about issues around constructive engagement through the use of dialogue, and mutual conversations, where parties try to address their respective positions, and all that. And I think that is where we are. So the point now largely is that I want to speak on the issues of responsible citizenship, as well as the responsibility of government also, to listen. And I think thus far, the government has been listening, and I've, like I mentioned in Voice of Nigeria yesterday, there is a need, there is a template already that has been established in terms of how we address certain things like this. And I think the negotiations, the mediations, and the dialogue around the minimum wage, presents a very good template, for responsible citizenship, responsible government, to meet at a meeting table, and address grievances and look at means, within which society need to move forward. And the reason why the minimum wage template is a very ample template is the fact that as contentious, as complex as the issues were, both the government on one side and labor on one side were able to reach a common ground. And I think that is what both alternative dispute resolution, even conventional dispute resolution methods also seeks to achieve. But sadly, what we have in this case, we are finding a lot of elements, who are a bit faceless, whose their interests are not clear-cut, so that makes it a bit difficult. And that is why you find all the apparatuses of the states, coming out, to offer some kind of advice, some kind of warnings, that this path, if you go through this path of protest, we're likely going to lead to violence. And I think that is so because from antecedents, and precedents around protest, in Nigeria, it is clear that hoodlums, miscreants, and other fifth columnists, they take advantage of protest and it leads into violence. And I would say advisedly too that protesting at this time where illicit arms, light weapons, and small arms and light weapons are proliferated and diffused across our respective society in the hands of illicit users, it is not advised to do protests, because once it is hijacked, it becomes difficult and becomes more of a security and military matter. So I think what I will advise largely is that protesters must bring their charters of demand. What exactly do they want? And progressive and responsible protesters too must provide the alternatives. That because if you say you don't want this, what exactly do you want? How are you going to get it? Because there is no monopoly of knowledge, and the government have not said they have monopoly of knowledge. So bring your alternative. Let's see what your alternatives are. If your creativity and innovative solutions are better than what is on the ground, society will adopt it, and people will go for it. But if you are protesting without an alternative worldview, without an alternative solution, then that is a bit problematic even for a responsible government to hold on. And that is why I think that there is need for common ground for both the agitators, to come on board. They should come out. Let's see their face. Let's see. We'll see lawyers have written here and there, but let them come out, in an organized form with their charters of demand alongside the government side, and that conversations will be held. And that is going to save us a whole lot of time and energy. The mere fact of protest alone already is making the economy to lose sight. People already are becoming a bit wary, and all that. And I think that is not helping society. Protest that sets to help society, must come with its own alternative and must be constructive in nature, must be responsible in nature. And I think that both government, they will meet at one side. So I think that is the point, I need to make at this point, and then allow my other panelists, to make their points, and then we'll continue the conversations. Thank you.
Professor Chogu, thank you very much. But I must say that one request, I'm not sure how much the organizers have articulated what their alternatives are, but I must say that one thing that has been consistent through the years is that government should cut significantly the cost of governance. I'm also not sure how much that has been done, but we'll get back to you hopefully soon. Let me get to Dr. Momale here. A lot of appeal has gone in asking the organizers to sheathe their sword. Now, even if that is unable to achieve a complete halt of the protest, I'm sure that it has managed to whittle it down what it could have been. because a lot of groups have pulled out, a lot of appeals have come in and out. But if the protest does go on, you know, regardless of the scale of it, how do we proceed and where do we go from here to ensure that there's no breakdown of law and order?
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you to Prof for putting some of the issues on a contextual background. When we are talking about ADR, Alternative Disputes Resolution, it's a wide range of opportunities and options that are available to society, to people, to engage with. It's a matter of different types of meetings where it is done peacefully, amicably, using self-respecting approaches where people sit around on the same table to discuss, to dialogue, to negotiate without any party feeling superior to the other party. And I think that is the most important aspect of alternative dispute resolution. For example, when we compare to the judiciary, where a judge sits on a high table and then you are an accused and you are a defendant. In the case of alternative dispute resolution, there is no, you know, those sort of formalized structures. There is no, this one is the litigant, this one is the defender. No, it is parties that have a common issue at stake, and they have come together on a level playing ground, irrespective of the numbers of any of the parties of the position they hold. They just come to the same table, and then everybody comes to the same level, and then they negotiate amicably in a very friendly manner. And I think this is what is very important about the ADR process. That's why we call it the ADR spectrum, meaning that it is a very wide range of options and opportunities. But the key thing is that it is a level playing ground, it is friendly, and it is done in a manner that the end result is a win-win situation. Unlike in litigation where you will have a winner and a loser, in the case of ADR and these kind of dialogue mechanisms, the outcome is always a win-win situation. And everybody and his constituents go home very happy. Okay. And this is what we are advocating in this situation. Now, coming back to the current context, I think, like you rightly said, a lot of Nigerians, not only from the public sector, not only from the government, religious leaders, traditional rulers, community-based organizations, women-based groups, everybody has come to caution those people that want to go on the path of the protest to come back, so that together we can sit and explore the issues and situations. Of course, everybody, including the government, have acknowledged that the situation is precarious. The economy is biting hard. Many other aspects of governance have been challenged. The insecurity is quite a big problem across the country. All of these things is not just the fault or the guilt of one institution or one group or over a small period of time. These are cumulative issues that have a local context, a national context, a regional context, because the entire sub-Saharan Africa, and particularly the Sahel, is challenged. So in this context, a single country will find it very difficult to address these issues. And then there is the global issue. We have the global challenges, the economic meltdown, which was preceded by the COVID, which affected the global economies, and the proliferation of small arms and light weapons throughout the sub-Saharan Africa, and particularly the Sahel, with very low level of education. That has been a very cumulative process over the last 30, 40 years. We have a large array of uneducated Nigerians with limited economic opportunities, and our industrialization and energy sectors have not performed up to expectations. So we want these people to understand that these issues are not just a one-off issue. They are triggered, yes, by certain aspects of the economy, but nonetheless, they are also a cumulative effect, and they cannot be addressed overnight or through protest. So what do we need to do? Like you said, yes, there, of course, we believe that most Nigerians will adhere to these calls, but it's not surprising to see few other people who will say, we still want to express our own. Now, what we, like you mentioned, what we want to see from these people, just like the DG just mentioned, come out and let we know you. Link up with the appropriate institutions of the state, including the security agencies, the various information communication agencies. Let you negotiate. They should give you a side, because most of these demonstrations are done in specific areas. The right of Nigerians on access to path on the highways should not be obstructed. The right of Nigerians to go to the market should not be obstructed. The right of Nigerians to go to their places of work should not be affected. So you need to identify specific areas where you go and assemble to peacefully demonstrate. And the Nigerian security agencies should allow this. They should not stop this. Whichever group or group of Nigerians that come out and said, we are this group of Nigerians, and this is the nature of our organization, and these are the nature of the people that will embark in this demonstration. We know them, they are our members, we can guarantee their credibility. We can guarantee that these are not, miscreants that will go and create havoc. So we are taking responsibility over our demonstration. And they are known. Then the security agencies will say, fine, with this clear identification, this area and this area are very good public spaces for you to go and assemble. And then they should go to such areas, assemble and organize their demonstrations in a peaceful and harmonious manner. Again, with clearly defined goals, with clearly defined things they will ask. I think if we have this process, then we will be able to see that these demonstrations are organized in a peaceful and well-coordinated manner. Again, with clear demands. And these demands, the leadership will now engage the appropriate organs of government to table these demands, to negotiate these demands. And we believe that the outcome will be very helpful, possibly in shaping future policies or current policies of government that will be able to contribute in addressing this. But to add to what the DG of the Institute of Peace and Conflict Resolution said, many of these things have already been discussed. And there are ongoing consultations with various groups. And there are emerging opportunities already on the ground, which if this group of Nigerians will now continue to engage government, I think we can be able to make progress in transforming crop production, which is one of the major sources of the hunger, in such a way that within the next few years, we will see a massive improvement in crop production, in such a way that Nigeria will be self-sufficient in terms of cereals, tubers, root crops, and other important food items that we need for our day-to-day survival. You can see the crisis with the vegetables. Just imagine tomatoes. What happened? What happened to the production system? Let's review it and see how did it work. Happily, on the energy sectors, we are beginning to see private refineries coming on board. The president just signed and addressed that controversy over supply of crude oil to Dangote refinery. We believe this is a huge opportunity. In fact, we can negotiate and say that, look, Nigeria has its own local domestic consumption quota. Why must we sell it at the international price? For example, Nigerians can demand, this oil is our resources, rather than selling it to these refineries.
Let's deal with the demand at home first.
Yes. What used to happen in the 1970s, in the 1980s, when we were enjoying the cheap oil, is because the Nigerian quota of the crude was sold to NNPC at a very low price. Okay. And then they are able to refine and sell to Nigerians at a lower price. We can negotiate this, for example. We will now have from these refineries, if they are telling us that the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries are being rehabilitated and they will soon revert to production. If we have this, let's say, even if it is these 3 refineries, there is a multiplier effect. Gas supplies will improve. Tar for construction of our highways will be readily available. Other products like petrochemicals for our fertilizer and blending plants will be readily available. So we'll see a huge transformation within the agriculture, within energy, within the petroleum supply sectors. So these are opportunities for young Nigerians to explore, to study, and to table it before the government in a constructive manner not necessarily through protests and demonstrations.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mumale, for your opening remarks there. And you have touched on many issues there, which include that you have a level playing ground for both, sides, and also with clear demands. That demands must be clear. But in this case, let's bring in Dr. Onoja now, who is a security expert. In this case, where we have faceless people that are, they have not been able to come out and say, put a face to this protest. So how do we manage such situation? What are the most dependable techniques that can be used by government? And we know that government has been coming out, speaking to community leaders, traditional leaders, and some groups and all that, and trying to also address some of the demands of these protesters. So what techniques do you think is best available that can be used by government in this instance?
All right, thank you so much. I think first let me commend the DG conflict resolution and my dear colleague in the studio. I think they have done justice to the discussion of today, but notwithstanding, I think Nigerians need more of enlightenment to dash the tension. ADR has been the topic of discussion here as a credible alternative to solve the problems. Unfortunately, the concept of the ADR that Nigerians truly understand is demand at the table and then request granted immediately. That's why we could not have it, even from the NSAS protests, the Leah Sharibu, and even that of the before now, the fuel scarcity and all of these things. We've had successive protests over the years. You and I know very well, Labour comes out on a daily to protest. Yeah. Have you in any way see when they say Labour don't protest? The reason is that it's because of the leadership. So coming back to your questions, how do you negotiate with people that are faceless? Different from bandits? You understand this concept. So we can blame the government for not engaging them. Just a few weeks, the Minister of FCT, His Excellency Wike, engaged the FCT youths asked to see a way forward. And I think one of the demands put on table is the case of the youth center for FCT and all of that. And that he went back to them. It's a feedback mechanism. Look, your demand has been granted by Mr. President. Okay. And so this time we'll be creating this, we've been doing this. I think that is the alternative way as engaging the people, the grassroots. So the alternative government can use in this instance is to say, wait a minute, who are those people? On my way coming to the studio, I find it very difficult because already they've created fear. And the security agency is on a watch out, and that makes them to double their effort in terms of stop and search. Of course, that's going to create a whole lot of hold-ups today in the Federal Capital Territory. And so what that means is that they're going to stop people. They're going to ask people questions. Identify yourself. Okay. And so it is advisable Nigerians going out, coming out today, outside your ID card, because they can even create ID cards for them. You have to identify yourself, I'm a Nigerian, through the use of the national identity card and other means, voter's card and a lot of things. So to me, government cannot use any other alternative to negotiate or to mediate with people that are unknown. Until they are known, we have so many civil society organizations that have come over the years that we need this, we need that. Okay. And I think government was able to engage them because it's a registered body. They got to know them.
I'm sorry to interject here.
All right.
If you keep saying that they are unknown, for instance, Mr. Osito Kechukwu sat where you sat yesterday, and he reeled out names of people who have identified with these protests that are known, and some people actually wrote to the FCT administration to say we want to make use of the Eagle Square.
No. The letter you read, you and I know it's so ridiculous. You wrote a letter, just put a phone number. I mean, we need to ask ourselves questions, and that means we need to go through our institutions. For example, we can go through some of them that say they have names, but are they registered? Somebody can sit in this parlor and then write a letter, put a name, put a phone number, decide to form a name like a local meeting and say this is our name. And so we need to go through CSC. Are they registered? Are they incorporated? Okay. So these questions need to be asked because you say they have names. I saw one just yesterday night and they say take it back, whatever it calls themselves, and that they say they have withdrawn from this protest. So the truth is that so many, if you know the gimmicks, so many individuals, just like the games of politics, once the time comes, the form names, have society, oh, this is the association of disabled individuals. This is the association of the one that have one legs and have one hands. This is just to share the sharing, but just about expanding the sharing formulas.
In other words, the security agencies also do not know the people behind the protest.
They have not come out clearly to identify themselves. To identify. So look, if they have done that, Doctor made a very valuable point here, and we should look at it from that perspective. If they have come out to identify themselves, oh, gentlemen, we have seen what you wanted. This is the available space. We can accord you this respect by being with you, but please don't burn quotas, don't break down any facilities. So if they have been known to government, we won't be sitting here and be talking while government not engaging. And the mere fact that they made this pronouncement that there's a protest, you and I, we agree that to an extent they have achieved their aim. Within this shortest period, you agree with me that government have been turning out, programs. You understand it, just to dice the tension. What else do you expect? 70,000 naira minimum wage was just passed into law by Mr. President. Yeah. You understand it? The Senate came up with an emergency meeting. All of this is, and again, just like he made mention in the case of selling crude oil to Dangote refineries, with just in naira. These are achievable measures. We can say, okay, at least the government is coming into the. Now, what next we talk about is about economic policies. Then they cannot come and say, okay, we want these policies to be like this, and that can only be true on the table. We can bring it on the table. We can't be on the street to achieve all of these things. You understand? Until we come to, okay, we write to the president or we write to the Senate. So group wish to have a meeting with either the FCT minister or not the FCT minister, to have a meeting with the National Assembly. Do you understand? In that regard, when the National Assembly says we can't have meeting with this kind of miscreant, then we cannot say, oh, they're undermining the strength of Nigerians. That is when we can say, okay, if we don't have this, we can go to the street. Do you understand? Probably if they have put this on in writing and say, okay, want to see the Senate President, want to see the National Assembly, not an individual, the National Assembly. The leadership. If this is now what we want, Nigerians are going to hear them on televisions. Nigerians are going to listen to their demands. And then it's going to be on record that so group, the National Assembly, they made these demands. How far? So it is now neglecting them that is not going to lead to street protest. So the situation on ground does not even warrant the issue of protest. Talk more of street protest. So if we are saying go for protest, protest will be when a refuser to acknowledge your demands that leads to protest. Refuser of acknowledging your wants that leads to protest. So I will ask a question. How have they been able to, have they utilized the opportunities? Have they exhausted all the channels that they need to use for the purpose of mediation? None. No. Somebody will be somewhere outside this country and he will be telling you what we need to do. His children, his wives are outside the country. Do we call that protest? We don't call that protest. It's inciting. Okay. It's inciting. So if we don't understand this concept, we will be blaming the government. Yes, the government, the mere fact that the government have acknowledged that there's hunger and there's a lot of economic downturn, then we need to accept the fact that government to an extent is sincere. It is only when government is not sincere to the cause, then you can say there's a problem. So we need to even begin to sympathize with the government, having accepted the fact that, look, we acknowledge this, and so what else do we do? So the people should be addressing the government.
Yeah, in fact, there was this press conference yesterday where government was addressing, these are the steps that government has taken so far to address some of these issues?
I think we even need to get it right. We have civil society organizations being on the different platforms, and most times go on the street for street protest.
Yeah.
Reason for this street protest, it's because government, in a way, have refused to give them listening ears. I think the organizers, even though we don't see face, we are faceless, I think we should even they should be thankful that government have accorded them respect. They have achieved their aim in a way, and so they should not create fear, because once there's fear, there's uncertainty, then what we're going to have is more insecurity. Some people are going to use this opportunity today because of fear already.
Well, who knows? Who knows? The organizers may just look at the scenario and say, well, government has come some way, even without saying so, and say, at least you were able to come. I'm not sure you saw any disruptions.
No, actually,
apart from security,
of course,
doing
of course,
their work.
That's
all right, let's get back to Professor Ochogu. Let's get back to Professor Ochogu, who has joined us via Zoom from Uyo. Prof, I'd just like to find out what you think about the place of the social media in installing peace in this kind of situation and checking fake news.
Yeah, I think that I'll start on the premise that the internet, that is the satellite communication that you see, is a military weapon. It was a military weapon invented and formally decommissioned, for civilian usage. And it serves two purposes, one good and another bad. And we've seen that in the social media, in how it has been used in mobilization, particularly negative mobilization, of people. And, the easy access and availability of information to a large segment of the population of the nation itself can be, to a very large extent, problematic to nation building, and to peaceful coexistence, particularly in areas whereby it is a free-for-all. I happened to be in China sometime this year for about 10 days, and wow, amazingly, yeah, okay, great. Amazingly, all the television channels that we have been shown, in China, we are all Chinese channels. So what that means is that information is very, very critical, in terms of how we promote peace and we promote peaceful coexistence. The liberalization of information and easy access of negative information to our population also is not too healthy. It's not too good for nation building. And I think that is why we need to also go into the media space, the social media space, to ensure that we propagate new narratives, at individual level, at institutional level, to try to promote informations, that are for nation building, for state building, and for peace building of our nation state. We cannot allow this domain, for those foreign narratives, as well as narratives of fifth columnists and narratives of people who are disenchanted with the system, to continue to project their own biases or what they want society to believe. So I think that it is a time, whereby all stakeholders, community-based stakeholders, faith-based stakeholders, and all relevant stakeholders within the system to be able to begin to spread narrative using the same social media platform, to ensure also that we are able to dominate the social media space, as both responsible citizens, to ensure that we don't go the way we've gone. Because if you see majority of the content creators, the kind of content they create and the content and the negative messaging, that goes out there, it is not helpful for nation building. It is not helpful for peace building. And that is why we need to up our game, to dominate our information space, particularly the social media space, which provides easy access to everybody across the country, to spread whatever kind of narrative they want to spread. And I think also that there is need for for responsibility, you know, on the part of people who spread news. I think that it's a sector that we need to revisit, we need to look at to ensure that there is a responsibility. You know, people just don't go to post any form of information they need to post. In the last 4 or 5 days, they've been sharing certain kind of information that are not it, creating fear, creating discontent, you know, among the population. That is not correct. That is weaponization, you know, of the use of social media against the Nigerian population. And I think that that should be rejected. It should be denounced. And we must do what we need to do, you know, to counter this, because we've seen where all these issues and all these incidences, you know, have led different countries to. We need to be moderate, you know, in how we disseminate some of the kind of information that we disseminate to our people. And above all, I think people to people, we need to begin to take responsibility at individual level and at community level, you know, to ensure that we promote the peaceful narratives that we all desire. One thing is to fan the ember of distrust, fan the ember of violence, you know, in our community. But the repercussion is for everybody. You don't know who is going to be next. I'm traveling back to Abuja today. You can see that whether I like it or not, everybody to a very large extent has been affected. So it's important that we still go the dialogue way. We'll still have a more constructive engagement. And like I said, responsible citizenship will bring, we allow the government, you know, to perform the role that it needs to perform. But I think I also need to caution carefully that it is not that the government is listening does not mean that the government is weak. The government have all the apparatus of state, you know, to handle some of these things. So while the protesters have made their demands, or they've made their impact in terms of having created the level of awareness that they've created via social media, via newspapers and other outlets of information, it is important that they allow the government.
Ochogu, thank you so much for... I think we've lost due to network issues there, but your points have been... Is it back? Okay. Come back to the studio. We'll get back to you later when the issues are resolved, but his points are clear. I mean, he made a point that the need for us to make use of the social media to engage the youth, because that is where the youths are. They are on the social media, and people have said that government is not actually taking advantage of that enough. Dr. Mamali, I want you to speak to that, and also because, you know, on the social media we have a lot of disinformation, misinformation. Somebody will just sit down in his room, concoct something and throw it on the social media without verification, and people just start circulating it like that. So that is a very big disadvantage in this instance. Secondly, let's look at the previous protests, like the one we had in 2012, 2015, and also the NSAS that is in 2020. Do you think this is different? And if it's different, what can be done, or what lessons, you know, can be learned from those protests that should be applied?
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. I think I'll just pick up from the previous discussion that Dr. Onoja just highlighted.
Yeah.
For example, when we say that some of the organizers or some of the promoters of the current situation are a little bit faceless, what we are referring to is that it's not because some names have not been mentioned. It's not because, like you just made a reference, they wrote here in Abuja that they want to use this particular venue. And I think this is where the state institutions also, like just Prof said, should also bring out the information in full. All they said was that they have not approved for this organization to use that space. They need to come out to tell Nigerians why they have not approved, for example. So it's not just that. Now, if, let's say, the Nigerian Labour Congress were the ones that wrote, will you say that the Nigerian Labour Congress is faceless? Or is the Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers, for example, or the Nigerian Union of Farmers, for example. Will you say they are faceless? They are not. Or the Nigerian, or the association, the National Association of Nigerian Students. These are clearly well-known institutions that are well grounded in society, whose role and contributions, as well as activism, is clearly known to the state, to the population of the country. But when a group just say, we are a league for the promotion of good governance in Nigeria. Now, when was that league established? Where is it registered? Where are its national and state offices? Who are the leadership? What has that league done in the past 2-3 years? What's the track record of that league? So like it is just like we come and say, okay, we are facing these problems, and let's come up with an association, a union, and then we make a press statement, we print our letterheads, and we write. So what actually the institutions needed to come and say, Mr. So-so-so wrote, right? This is his name, this is his phone number. They should be able to tell us that this phone number is faceless. This name is faceless. So to come out and explain to us that this league of A, B, C, and D, or this association of these groups that are writing under this are not known to the Nigerian law. And I think this is very important. And I think that's what distinguishes it from some of the protests you have mentioned.
Yeah.
In 2012, the Nigerian Labour Congress was part of it. The academic staff union of Nigerian universities were part of it.
Yeah.
Will you say that ASU is an unknown institution? So in this case, tell which among these national pressure groups, labor movements, market women, renowned organizations, youth organizations, you know, whether it be them faith-based or civil society groups. Clearly, the youth wing of the Christian Association of Nigeria have come out to say they are not part of it. NACOMYO, the National Association of Muslim Youth Organizations, have come out to say they are not part of it. The Northern Youth, the Northern Youth Coalition, I think they have a specific name, the National Youth, Northern Youth something. They have come out, they are registered, they are incorporated, their membership is clearly known. They have come out and said they are not part of it. Many national platforms of youth organizations have come out to say they are not part of it. So these other organizations that have come out, the security establishment should be able to come out. The Minister of Information, the State Commissioners of Information should be able to come out clearly to tell Nigerians that this group that has just released a statement or have said this, we're going to find out who are they. Let them come to the Lagos Broadcasting Corporation. Let them come and discuss. Let them tell us their local government offices, their state offices, when they were registered, and who are their membership. And that is what I said. When we know your membership, we know the caliber of your membership, we are comfortable.
Yeah.
You made reference to the Bring Back Our Girls. These protests were led by renowned stateswomen, renowned celebrities, renowned academics, whose contribution to society cannot be challenged. Will you, if Obi Ozekwesili said she's going to lead a protest, will you begin to feel that they will go and destroy public property or block highways or smash people's cars? You know it cannot happen, for example. When people like Professor Wole Soyinka, some of these people that are very active, were renowned personalities and scholars and academics, people that have made impact in society, have the pedigree to lead and to provide leadership, we will be so comfortable. Which of these prominent Nigerians have come out to say, we are the leaders of this movement? There is no. So these are fundamental issues that we need to put up very clearly. If we're able to get this, we'll be so much comfortable.
But I think yesterday, Mr. Okechukwu, just yesterday he sat here, he was mentioning, giving names like Femi Falana, giving Buade Borua, who also said, and we see in the papers, that no bullet should be fired today. Names like Inibehe Efyong and all that. These are names that are well known to Nigeria.
Exactly. are they going to lead the protests here in Abuja or in Port Harcourt?
I think they were emphasizing the fact that protest is
legitimate.
Is legitimate.
That is what they are saying.
Right.
They were not saying that they are the leaders
of the protest. They are leading
and I'm also,
the protest.
yes, and I'm also
they are just saying that it is legitimate.
Yes. Can say, yeah. And I'm also saying, we are also all here saying that the right to protest is constitutional. And people have that right. The right to protect the lives of protesters, to ensure their safety and security is fundamental. And the security agencies must do that if the protesters come. But what they are not saying, we are the leaders of this protest.
Yeah.
And if you say you are going to be a leader of protest, you cannot, for example, be based here in Abuja, and then you say you are the leader of national protest. Because if you can only lead at one point. So you have to tell us that the leader of protest in FCT Abuja here is Mr. A. The leader of protest in Gwagwalada is Mr. B. The leader of protest in Buari, if you want the protest to take place in Buari, is A, B, and C. The people we charge with the responsibility of coordinating this protest in these areas are A, B, C, and D across the nation. That's when citizens, that's when the government, that's when security agencies will feel comfortable that there is clear leadership and there is clear line of action. So these are some of the fundamental issues we are. Like you mentioned on the aspect of social media, of course, I think our information managers, not only at the level of the government, states, federal and local governments, but also at the level of the other organs of society. We must engage Nigerians. We must open up, and we need to ramp up our communication strategies. We have to recognize that times are changing, and some of the conventional communication mechanisms need to be improved. And then engaging our citizens through town hall meetings, not ignoring the rural landscapes, not ignoring the peri-urban areas. We must reach out to these areas, engage the people, give them focus, and make sure that we have a coherent policy direction for the nation.
Now, would you say, if the protesters say, we want to use the Eagle Square, we want to use the Alausa Park, we want to use, designated places that have been listed, would you prefer that to preventing them from using those places and allowing them roam on the streets? Which is better?
Allowing them to use the spaces is the best, because that is their constitutional right. But for me to allow you, I need to know who you are. Who are you going to bring to that place? For example, if I am comfortable, I'm confident, fine. If you tell me, for example, I just come and say, we want to use, I write and I say, we want to use this space. And I call the phone number, and I said to the person, please, can you come for us to discuss? And he did not come. And his explanation is that he is scared of arrest. Then I will tell the, if I'm responsible, I will take the letter to the Ministry of Information in the state and say, please handle this issue, because this is a citizen's issue. So it's the responsibility of the civil institutions, more than the security institutions, to discuss with some of these groups and identify those areas that are convenient, that will not obstruct public safety, that will not be a threat to public safety. It's the responsibility of the public institutions, the civil institutions, more than the security institutions.
Okay,
they should be able to provide feedback to the security institutions if these groups are scared of meeting with security institutions because of fear of arrest.
Okay, Dr. Momale, thank you so much for your views there. But let's get back to Professor. Dr. Onoja, we'll get back to you. We just gathered that Professor Ochogu will still be leaving.
But he's not there at the moment.
Okay.
He's not there. Perhaps we should ask Dr. Onoja, if all else fails, including alternative dispute resolution, techniques and methods, how do we, get the people to believe in the judiciary, which is the next line of action, to do justice without fear and without favor?
Well, whoever goes to, to the court or goes to the judiciary also must go with the clean hands. In this instance, I think Going to court or believing in judiciary has been there over the years. But the most important thing that we must come to also ask ourselves is, do we really need a judiciary in this instance? Have their rights be trampled upon? One of the requests made, and so ridiculous, is that when they are going to use the Eagle Square, they should remove the barbed wires, remove the gates. In other words, also planning vandalization. They want to vandalize the Eagle Square. And in economics, we call it the Cobra effect. And that means that in your attempt to solve a problem, you are ending up creating more problems. And so you are telling us to come and destroy our national facilities, all because you needed to be in there. And so would this really say that they have not given them audience? Would they really say that, oh, we are not treated, fairly, and then for that reason we go to court? I think the issue of judiciary does not arise in this instance until probably there's a fundamental issues where we have, maybe, like I always said, the role of engagement. When we talked about security agencies, also have to be well defined.
Yeah, which is why I said if all else fails.
It won't get to that level yet, because for now, like Doctor mentioned, all responsible, I'm going to use the word responsible, all responsible organs and institutions have withdrawn from this protest. So whoever is coming at this point can be as well be tagged as, bandits.
Irresponsible.
Well, of course, once they become responsible, they can be even used as bandits, of course. Because, yes, this is from the areas they are threats to our national peace and security. The moment they have come and unregistered, unknown people, they are threats to our national peace and security. And that we're not going to allow that to happen. So that is where we need to define the roles of the security agencies. People will not come, started burning quotas, started breaking, facilities that we used our national money to get over the years, and then we say because they are Nigerians, we should leave them. Some of the Boko Harams we've had in the past are Nigerians. Bandits, some are Nigerians. We've had a lot of people that are Nigerians that have created problems for Nigeria. And that is not what happened, even arising from the NSAS protest. We know some business people that lost their business all because in Nigeria decided to loot from their stores. So that will not arise. This is where I want the media also to get involved, as giving an appropriate reportage of what they are going to be doing. Because what leads to the shooting will not be known. It's only when there's a shooting that we cover. And so let's believe that we have come to believe that the government have addressed some of the fundamental issues. And so it is left to the people to equally use their sense to understand that government, in fear, not like a fear per se, but in respect to Nigerians, have accorded them that respect and have been issued, told them that we are working on this issue. So there will be no need for any court matters. All right, this is not, this is not an election issues that we're going to go to court after election.
All right, Dr.
This is purely issues of engagement.
We would like to break now to pay some bills, and we have to thank Professor Joseph Ochogu, who is DG of Institute of Peace and Conflict Resolution, who joined us via Zoom. We understand that he has to be at another engagement at this time. We thank you very much for your time and thoughts on the program. Let's go for this break, and the discussion continues here in the studio after that.
I just want to appreciate all of us. As one of you, I am inspired to employ this occasion to address the great youth of our destiny. Our youth are our most cherished resources, and we must constantly remind ourselves of our responsibility to our fatherland and responsibilities towards the realization of our destiny. In February 2023, you came out in your numbers to elect Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, because of your faith in his love for Nigeria and his capacity to bring hope to our situation as a nation. It is heartwarming to note that your faith in his patriotism, capacity, and commitment has remained unshaked. No nation has ever attained greatness until the youth come together to drive the process. Our education is beginning to recognize the place of strategic needs assessment and gradually moving from just theories to one that offers practical solutions to problems. Under the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, your opportunities are limitless. With the student loan scheme of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, children of nobody can now have chance to be educated to any level of their choices. He has successfully removed the financial barricade to ensure every Nigerian child is educated. This will undoubtedly inspire many to hatch the many opportunities that education presents. In the last few months, the Federal Ministry of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy has opened up a lot of empowerment channels, empowering thousands of Nigerian youth in these skills. Oil is limited to its deposit. Solid minerals are limited in their volume of deposit. The opportunities that digital skills offers are limitless. Therefore, the President is opening window of limitless opportunities for the youth of our dear nation. In recent months, under the dynamic leadership of Mr. President, the subnationals are beginning to benefit from the mineral resources in their various states. Modalities are now in place to engage states to take part in partnership for mineral resources exploration. This will expand the horizon for industrialization and consequently open up more jobs for our teeming youth. The many agricultural interventions in the nation have exposed more youth to agriculture, which is the new goal globally. Hundreds of thousands of our youth across the nations are already benefiting from schemes that empower them to be big-time farmers. They are doing their own protest by leveraging the available opportunities to produce more food for their nation. As your chief servant, I can tell you authoritatively that subnations have received a lot of support from the federal government in order to stimulate the economy and make life better for our people. That is why, as governors, we are doing our best to change the narratives. It is unfair to ask questions about over 60 years of mismanagement and expect answer in a year. Our president is working hard and the benefits are already pouring in. We will surely turn this corner. Instead of protesting violently and looting shops and putting many lives in harm's way, you have chosen to organize this summit to contribute your own quotas to nation building. I am proud of you. Ask the promoters of the political protest what Mr. President has done wrong. Was it wrong to have started a student loan? I ask questions. No. Was it wrong to have empowered many youth through agriculture? No. Was it wrong to have opened up the digital space for our youth to excel? No. Was it wrong by Mr. President to have heavily invested in agriculture to reverse the shortage of food in the nation? No. Was it wrong to have encouraged the flooding of the country with CNG buses to reduce the cost of transportation? No. Was it wrong by Mr. President to have stepped up the national grid to make power more stable? No. Was it wrong to have readjusted the tax system to ensure more food and force down the cost of consumables? No. Was it wrong to have engaged more youth than any administration in the history of this country? No. Please, was it wrong to be working on policies to ensure farmers' security? No. The protesters should tell us the wrong Mr. President has committed to deserve this method hatred. The promoters of the unnecessary protest are turning logic on the head. A country that is just healing from years of illness cannot afford violent protest now. We all witnessed what happened to us with the youth during the NSAS, and we will not want Nigeria to collapse into such darkness again.
Thanks for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. We are still discussing dialogue, the panacea for conflict resolution, and we still have our guest here in the studio. But before we went on that short break, Dr. Onoja, you were speaking on the conflict resolution and the need for us not to have, what's it called, justice, introduced in this matter. Can you just quickly complete your thought on it?
Yes, I mentioned earlier that it won't even get to the court or the judiciary, so it is needless at this point. We're not anticipating that our security agencies are going to engage the protesters with the use of force. There are other diplomatic means that they are going to use, having in mind that already most of these groups have pulled out from the protest. So we may not see protesters as it was speculated anymore, because the leadership of these groups are all pulled out, and some miscreants or hooligans could take advantage, even bandits could take advantage of even using this protest as a means of perpetrating evil. So whoever we are seeing on the street of Abuja or across the state could be even bandits. And so we call on our intelligence agencies, our intelligence community, the Department of State Security Services, and also the NIA, and especially the police should engage the natives, because the best of intelligence lies with the natives. So they should go to where the natives are concentrated to get their intelligence within this short period, because some persons have already planned how to attack some places. Because you see, from the last NSAS protest, you recall that while the protesters are still on the street, some others are already looting factories and vandalizing national assets. So already they are disappointed by the announcement of the withdrawal from the protest, and so they may still want to go ahead to perpetrate this evil. And so the police and all security agencies should be on a watch out. And I don't think they are going to take it lightly, because they are going to hide under the disguise of protest to do this. And eventually, if they are caught, they will come out as protesters. So on which umbrella are they protesting for? And like someone mentioned, they can come as a single man protest, but I think it should be well defined to avoid ambiguities. So I will conclude by saying that peace is achievable if we can come up on a round table. And in the instance of dialogue, in this concept of dialogue, we must adopt a dialogue system or a situations of understanding. Because if they have an understanding, and I believe that some of the groups that have pulled out from this protest is because of the understanding of what they have been able to achieve within the short period or the shortest period of the pronouncement of this protest. Okay. Having in mind that government have taken them into consideration and turning out programs to calm down the tension. And so Nigerians should rather, opt for other opportunities, engaging the National Assembly leadership and institutions to get positive outcomes of this whole thing, instead of engaging on street protests, which we all
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Onoja. Now, Dr. Mamale, let me get back to you. Just like you said, that peace is achievable. So, how can the protesters' demands now, be balanced with the need to maintain law and order and ensure that there is public safety?
Thank you very much. I think we need to make certain things very clear. The right of Nigerians, whether as organized group or as individuals or even informal groups, to express their opinion through public procession is undeniable. So we need to understand this very clear. So if anybody wants to come out, it's his fundamental right. But what we are saying is, let it be in a manner, one, does not obstruct the rights of other Nigerians, that does not infringe or does not damage any public or personal property, and that is not inimical to the economy and stability of the country. I think these are fundamental things. Secondly, both the civil institutions and the security institutions should not deny any Nigerian from carrying out his constitutional right. So if some people come out to demonstrate or to protest, they need to be protected. They should be given safe spaces to protest and to express their opinions. But for those people that want to do it, we are urging them also to have very clear demands and to present a clear leadership that can form the basis of engagement, to negotiate their demands and wishes in such a way that we can come to a win-win outcome that will come out of this process. This, I think we need to make it, in my own opinion, and in my understanding, that is it. Now, you mentioned a very important issue. Assuming they do not go for public protests, and we should not doubt the integrity of these people that are trying to express their opinion through protest. We should not ascribe them as inferior Nigerians or as criminal groups. They may be very patriotic young Nigerians and even elders. So we should give them that benefit of doubt. If there are any miscreants that go out of their way to begin to cause public disorder or social disorder, of course, the security agencies should act appropriately using the right rules of engagement without being high-handed, without being carrying out extrajudicial processes, but they should act in accordance with the law. And you also mentioned the role of the judiciary. Of course, there is no any national issue where we can say the judiciary have no role. The judiciary have fundamental role because they are the protectors of the rights of citizens. They are the interpreters of the content of the law. They are the ones that will interpret the Constitution based on the, the key provisions. So that the judiciary has an important role. So if there is any group that want to come and protest and they are denied their right to protest, they should not act otherwise. They should approach the courts. And they should clearly, with a clear, because if you go to court, you cannot go as a faceless individual. So that will unmask them, in fact, if they wanted to be faceless. So they should approach the courts, present their demands, and present what they need. And I believe the judicial system has adequate knowledge and experience to be able to see and assess the genuineness of their case and to adjudicate and allow them to have their protest. But there are other options. For example, I will urge the leadership of some of these organizations that still want to go and protest. One, to engage the media. Come to the NTA. Ask the NTA to give you a platform to present your demands, which will be aired to the entire nation. Or you go to other alternative news channels, TVC channels,
Arise and the likes of that.
Arise, AIT, all of this. And the radio stations, the FRC and all of them, all over the country. Engage them. Engage the Nigerian Union of Journalists. Engage the Guild of Editors. Sit together in a round table, present your demands to the Nigerian government. can even give a time frame. Say that after the next 1-2 months, we want this is our roadmap for engagements within the next 2-3 months, so that we can contribute to the policy debates in the country. And then we can come out with more robust policies that will integrate our own needs and our own perspectives. That is one. Two, there are many other public institutions that have been set up at the national level and at the subnational level. For example, for myself, I will urge and appeal to all of these youth groups that are in Kaduna State and who feel there are some of these issues. They should come to the Kaduna State Peace Commission. That is why the government has created us. We have very broad engagement platforms. We are welcoming them to come. Let's sit in a round table. In fact, let us go to Ahmadu Bello Stadium, if that's what you want, with the Kaduna State Peace Commission. Presents all of these issues to us. We assure them that we will take it up the administration of Kaduna State. And we have a very listening governor, Governor Vansani. And we will put this forward. And I believe in many other states, like Plateau, like Benue, like Imo, we have state peace commissions that are charged with some of these duties and responsibilities. And at the national level, there are other platforms. The National Orientation Agency is there, with offices in every local government. So let's exploit these opportunities that have been created. And there are, of course, there are others like the National Human Rights Commission, you know, that is also doing a lot where you feel some of your fundamental rights are infringed. You approach some of this. Then we also have the Public Complaints Commission. So all of these institutions are available to these young Nigerians. And of course, we should not ignore our representatives.
All right.
From the councillors, the local government chairmen that have been given autonomy now and can address many of these grievances, members in the State House of Assembly, and the national representatives. And of course, I will end up with this. I appeal to our members of the National Assembly, the Senate, members of the House of Representatives, members of the House of Assembly, to go back to their constituencies and call the young people, call their constituents, dialogue, discuss, and bring it back for discourse at the national level.
Thank you very much, Dr. Momale. We have just moments to end this conversation. So let's get Dr. Onoja to round off his thoughts on this program. But then, how should government behave going forward? Bearing in mind that demands, Dr. Momale kept saying that demands should be clear, but I think the demands are clear, they are out there. So what should government do going forward to ensure that, one, we do not have another of such threats to protest? One, and that there will be no need, as a matter of fact, to have this kind of, what do you say now, disagreements that could lead to something like this?
Well, you see, with a country of over 200 populated people, of course you should expect grievances, and also you should respect demands always. But if there are clear engagements from the grassroots, which Doctor mentioned about, from the grassroots level down to the state and the national, I think it makes it very easy for government to give to the people the dividends of democracy. If, for instance, all that have been done in the past 1 week, 2 weeks, were done before now, at least if crude oil is sold, sell at maybe 150 per litre or 100 naira per litre today, or the cost of living, if an average Nigerian is having 100,000 or 200,000 naira, and if dollar rates, if policies comes to level where dollar is not taken to 1.5 or all about, maybe dollar is equivalent to 150 per naira, we will not be talking about all of this that is coming today. And so it is by giving to the people the rights of the people and giving to the people what belongs to the people. And just like Doctor have already reiterated, I can't say here that the national, at the federal government, at the federal level, we do all. It has to start from the local government to the state and then to the federal government. Okay. But then, one thing quickly I want to mention is that I did not, ab initio said, the judiciary do not have a role. All I'm trying to say that the situation will not escalate to the level where judiciary will be involved in the whole thing. So let Nigerians keep hope alive. And then with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I believe that Nigerians will be expecting more of these programs that will give the average Nigerians the hope to live in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Dr. Onoja.
Dr. Jonathan Onoja, security expert and public affairs analyst, we thank you very much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. Let's also thank Dr. Salim Omali, Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State Peace Commission. It's been a pleasure hosting you here in Abuja at this time around.
Thank you very much. As we reach Nigerians, we're very happy.
All right. And I think our director has something to show us about what the street looks like just before we go. Okay. The streets are just free. And for those who dare to get on the road, I'm sure they will enjoy driving on a day like this. There's no traffic anywhere. The road is free. It looks peaceful and tranquil.
From the Nigerian as though you're ending up your program a little bit hold up because of the checkpoints and all of that.
Okay, just like you said earlier. All right. Thank you.
That's Good Morning Nigeria. We thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow is another day. I won't be here. But we'll see you again some other time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Demola Adeoye, thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow. Have a good day.